All right, let's go to Stacy in Bryan, Texas. What's up, Stacy?
Hi, John. How are you?
I'm great. What's going on?
Just doing good so far. Just kind of ready to jump into this question and see if you can kind of give me some insight.
All right, let's do it. Jump on in.
All right. So I will preface this with me and my husband are definitely just in a crazy season of life right now. We've had a lot of chaos going in on our work lives. We have a 4-year-old who has had some developmental delays, a lot of chasing evaluations, specialists, therapies, things like that. And because that wasn't crazy enough, we're also due with our next one any day now.
All right. All right.
And so now more than ever, I really think finding time for he and I to connect is really important. But I'm having a hard time being able to set healthy expectations and boundaries around us spending quality time because we don't like doing a lot of the same things. Like we're very different when it comes to our interest in trying to find ways that we can both enjoy things we like and share experiences with each other when, like I said, we just don't really necessarily like doing the same things.
So is your concern this picture that you have in your head of this is what I thought this was going to look like? Or is it actual, like I really miss my husband? And do you get the difference there in that question?
I do, and it's probably the second one.
Okay. So it sounds like the question you asked, like how do we deal with expectations and how do we like find things that we can do in common together? That's secondary to I really miss this guy.
Yes.
Have you told him that?
I feel like I've tried.
Okay.
But I also think he struggles with sometimes with some of the emotions involved in that and being able to really sit down and be vulnerable with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's almost like to sit down and try and have that conversation. And sometimes I feel like he's just deer in the headlights.
I assure you he is. 100%. 100% he's deer in headlights. And he doesn't want to say the wrong thing and he doesn't want to do the wrong thing. And I can just speak to my life. When we were expecting our second, I was busy. My wife was busy. We had a little one. I knew I was good at playing guitar and I could get better at that. So I just started gravitating more towards that. And I knew I was good at work. So I just started working more. And whenever a cool, crazy, chaotic punk rock show would go to town, I would just go to that because I knew I would have fun there. You see what I'm saying? It was never an attempt to get away from my wife, ever. It was always just I know I'm good over here because I'm clearly not good over here. And that just was a matter of me not having the tools. And my wife didn't have the tools. And so we just went and did the things that we knew how to do. It's like my car breaking down the side of the road and I don't know how to fix the tires. I can change the oil. And so I would just get busy changing the oil on the side of the road. And then I get done and the oil is perfectly changed and the car still can't drive because the tires are all flat. Right? That's what's happening here. When's your baby due?
In a matter of about a month and a half or so.
Okay. Very cool. So give me an example of a way you've tried to tell him, I miss you.
I really think I've tried to sit down and just say like, hey, look, with you working so much, I want to be more intentional about finding time for us. And, just trying to say hey, I want to spend time with you before, we just kind of enter even more chaos. And I mean, I haven't exactly outright said that I miss him because I worry that
I knew you hadn't said that. Okay, here's a new way I want to reframe this, and
okay.
What you're doing here is you're speaking Spanish and he's speaking Italian, and I'm going to teach you how to speak Italian for him. Okay.
Okay.
When you go to a young dad, and Bryan was just north of where I grew up. So, or I guess it's west of where I grew up. When you tell a young Texas dad who's working 80 hours a week and his wife is pregnant with number 2, you're working so much and you're never here. What he hears is he's experiencing the house is on fire and you want to talk about how warm it is. And he's just trying to save everybody. And the only way he knows to save people is by making money, being successful in his job. Okay? So here's a different way. I want you to invite him out, and I want you to have a blank sheet of paper in front of him. And what we're going to do is we're not going to use amorphous, ethereal language like, I just feel like, we're not going to do that. We're going to speak his language, and we're going to say, all right, what I want to do is map out the next 60 days. And in mapping this out, I want to map out our time together, who's going to be taking care of our 4-year-old, and who's not, like, what projects do you have at work coming up? Let's map this thing out, because what we're going to do is we're going to start practicing building a life together.
Okay.
Okay. And so what he's going to be able to do is go, cool, I can do that. I can build a thing. I can do a task. And when you say, all right, we have mapped out childcare. We've mapped out, I'm going to be taking time off of my job. My mother-in-law's coming in or my mom's coming in. You'll be able to put all that on the calendar. And then you'll be able to say, we don't have any dates here. And by the way, you're not going to have any dates for the first 60 days anyway, probably.
Probably not.
Well, and I say that, let me take that back. Some of my most amazing memories of my life, my whole life, is we got snowed in when my daughter was born, and we had a weird, crazy snowstorm, and it snowed everybody in Texas for a week. And my wife and I and our new baby sat on a couch, and we watched all of the series Fringe, because I loved Pacey. I love Joshua. What's his name? Joshua Jackson? Yeah, Pacey, because I love a Dawson's Creek fan. We just watched the whole thing, and we had a fire going the whole time, and that was some of the most intimate time of my life. Just holding my baby, sitting by my wife, holding her hand, getting up and getting coffee, whatever we needed to get. And so that was an awesome season, but we planned it too. We were pretty intentional about planning it. So instead of these, it's going to be, no, we're going to have date time. And it could be date on the couch. It could be date watching TV. I want to make sure we put that on the calendar. And what you're doing is you're building in a language between the two of you of intentionality. And then in 3 months or 4 months, when the fog starts lifting a little bit, and somebody can come over and keep your little one for maybe 2 hours for y'all just to go to dinner or something like that, it will already be built into the way y'all are talking. And one of these things might be, from this point forward, we're going to do something every Sunday night. We're going to get together and talk every Sunday night. We're going to go for a walk every Saturday morning, whatever that looks like. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're going to build those things in. Now, I want to answer your original question and not just blow it off for a second, okay?
Okay.
I want to give you a framework just using, can I just use my life? I know that's annoying because we're different people, but that's the guy I know the best. Here's a framework that I'll pass along for how do you share experiences when one of you likes doing one thing and one of you likes doing the other thing. So I love music. I love live music. I love laying in my floor with great headphones and just closing my eyes and turning the lights off in the room and listening to all the pieces. I like listening to the hi-hat and how they mix the drums. I just kind of can geek out on it. I also like playing music a lot also, and I love chaotic punk rock and heavy metal, and I love great singer-songwriters and folk singers, and I love hip-hop, and I love stand-up comedy, so I love the whole arc. And so if I step back and look, I like noise, and I like a little bit of chaos, and I like art performed, and I like being in a crowded space with people who are all have our eyes headed in the same direction, and we're sharing music, we're laughing, doing all that stuff together, okay? My wife also likes music. She likes it at a reasonable volume in a car, and she doesn't mind what song comes next on the radio, usually, and she has curated playlists. I wouldn't know how to make a playlist. I know how to make a mixtape. I was a gangster at mixtape, but I don't know how to make a playlist. And so the last month, I went and saw a band called White Reaper at a tiny little club. They were mayhem. It was super fun. I went and saw Under Oath at another club, and they were like screaming and it was just chaos. And then my wife and I went to the Ryman Auditorium and watched a folk rock band that we both have loved for 25 years. And I've got a show coming up, like I'm playing guitar on this thing, and there was a guitar part that I've been trying to learn for a long time. So I'm down in the basement playing and playing and playing. She would probably rather set her eyelids on fire than sit down and watch me practice guitar. But I had a moment, I had like a little breakthrough, and like a teenager, I ran upstairs and was like, hey, will you come listen to this? And I played it, and she smiled so big. And she was not smiling because her husband was going wheedly-deedly-dee on the guitar. She was smiling because she saw how happy I was that I accomplished something, right?
Right.
And she's into gardening, and I like being outside. I don't understand all the gardening things she's doing. And reading, and she's a way better writer than me, and she's a coach. All that to say is this. The distance we create inside our togetherness gives us intimacy and new avenues to get to know each other. Okay? So I want you to think of you and your husband as that ring that you wear on your finger. Y'all are bound together. Where can you create pockets of, I didn't know that about you. Tell me more. What are you learning? Wow, I didn't know you could do that inside of that circle. And so what I would tell you is have your own things and be really good at them, and then share them on occasion and vice versa. And sometimes you just got to put on headphones and go to the monster truck rally or whatever the thing is. And my wife has gone to 1 or 2 punk shows, and she sits up against the wall and during the chaos, and she just smiles because she's like, what are these guys doing? They're just morons. And I've gone to my fair share of country music, hee-haw, whatever. George Strait came in on a horse once. That's all I know, and I was there for that. So sometimes you just take one for the team. You enjoy it because you're in love with the person, and you love seeing them that happy. But this idea that we all have to do the same thing together all the time, that's just a recipe for this is going to be a disaster. And my wife and I've been guilty, especially of being too disengaged from what she's doing. So there's a balance there. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
But you feel free to go down the rabbit hole.
Part of the problem that I think that we've had, because like I come from the background of you put the phone down and you try to participate and you try to enjoy what's in front of you as best as you're able, because you don't want to feel like you're dragging the other person down. Whereas sometimes I think my husband, if we go out and do something that I enjoy doing, it almost turns into like he should just get credit for going with me. And if he wanted to sit on his phone during the, whatever it was, that should be acceptable. And I'm like, and if I'm honest, I'm like that hurts me. That hurts my feelings, because I just want him to kind of be present with me in the moment.
You've got to say those words. Because what you're asking him to do is to be a mind reader. Because he would probably rather have explosive diarrhea than go to a knitting event. Or I'm just making something up awful. Or to a 4-H event or whatever thing you're into in Bryan College Station. And so he's going to go. And he thinks he's making a great sacrifice on behalf of mankind. He's not going to be one of those husbands that just stays at home and drinks crummy beer. He's going to go with his wife. And thank God for cell phones. Right? And you've got to take the extra step and say, when we go to these things, I would love it. It means a lot to me if you're present, if you're here with me. And I don't think that the whole world is about dropping. If my wife asked me to watch golf, like if she said I'm a huge golf fan all of a sudden, well, I don't know if we'd stay married if that happened, but it would be close. But if she said, I just want you to spend 7 hours watching golf with me, I would have to say, I can't do that. If you want me to come down, like when it gets really awesome, then I will come give you this much time. I will put my phone down and I will plug in and you can tell me all about golf. But that'd be tough for me because I don't like watching golf. I think it's an abomination and it's insane. All my friends are golfers. So you see what I'm saying? I think you're putting a ton of pressure on yourself and you're expecting your husband to be a mind reader. Don't do that. Okay?
Okay.
Let me end the call with this. Your needs are worth being spoken clearly and out loud. And it sounds like what you're doing is you're hedging your bets because you don't want to run this guy off. Or you don't want to be annoying. Or you don't want to be a burden. And you don't want to be in the way. So as a husband, from close to where y'all are right now, with 2 little kids, I will implore you, almost beg you, be very clear about what you need and give him an opportunity to show up. And he's going to mess it up. And you are too. And part of your marriage is going to be not with everything being perfect, but it's, as Esther Perel says, it's the repair part. How do we come back together after I missed it? I showed up to the event and I was on my phone the whole time and you felt completely disconnected. And I thought I was being husband of the year. How do we solve that problem? Back to what I said earlier, we're going to have these Sunday night get-togethers. We're not going to have a fight on the way home. I'm not going to mope and be like, oh, you didn't show. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to recognize when I wasn't clear. And then on Sunday night when we get together, I'm going to say, hey, you came to this thing. I'm really grateful you came. I know you're not into heavy metal music or into calf roping or whatever's going on. I know that. But it would mean the world to me. It was important that you came, but you weren't with me. When you come, I want you with me. I'd rather you not come than come and just sit there on your phone the whole time. And we're going to do that on the Sunday night meetings when there's not a lot of energy in those meetings. Those are planning meetings. Those are fun meetings. We're dreaming about what our life's going to be, and we're trying to figure out how to get there. It's not going to be in the heat of the moment. It's not going to be accusations. All that said, good luck on having your baby. Give yourself tons of grace. Give him some clear directions. Kelly, I may need to get Sheila printed a list for me. All the way from things I'm not allowed to say in the delivery room, questions I'm not allowed to ask, and things that were going to be she needed from me in the next week. It was so amazing. It was such a gift. So great. I may get that and we'll just put that in the show notes. That is like a template for other families.
That sounds, I would love to see that.
You would die laughing because it's exactly tailored to me. Yes, it's awesome.